let's take it back.
Right. So, stress and how can your doctor help you manage your stress? So when you're at work and they come in and they're like, I can't afford my house payment. I've got decreased hours at work. I can't get sleep. I'm having palpitations. My heart is racing. Where do you even start with them? Like, how do you unravel that ball of?
Yeah, one, it's identifying what your stressors are.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes just talking it out and figuring out what they are
Mm-hmm.
is very important. Of course, motivational interviewing really comes in and helps figure out and tease things out. But oftentimes I get I just want to be off, or I want to be on a pill, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. And if the stress is coming from something very specific,
Mm-hmm.
pill's probably not going to fix that,
Mm-hmm. Or they think going on vacation. If they just had a vacation, if they just had a week off, it would be so much better when they came back. I'm like, probably not.
Yeah.
It's all going to be still the same.
I get that a lot. People want, come in, they want us to fill out their FMLA paperwork. Mm-hmm. Like, if I can get this time off for the next 3 or 4 weeks, then going back to work, I'm going to be okay. And the truth is, no, those same stressors are there. So how are you going to manage that? And so I've started having my patients, really putting them in an intensive, purposeful program.
Mm-hmm.
We have the exercise program. For some people, it's really getting up and getting movement,
Mm-hmm.
which is helpful.
I'm such a big believer in
that.
Yeah.
And then counseling, having that space that is non-judgmental, where you can really lay everything out and start to figure things out and come up with a plan for how you're going to approach things.
But Black folk, colored people, they don't like counseling. That.
I know.
Don't do it.
I know, and it's true.
20
it's
years
true.
up.
But if
I go to church, I prayed about it.
That's a big thing, for sure.
So what is the difference between counseling and going to church?
It is so not the same thing at all. Yes, your faith, spirituality is
100%.
very important and plays a huge role, but it is not the same as, strategically tackling, the things that are making you have anxiety,
Correct.
and medical anxiety,
right.
It's completely different.
Well, when they talk to their friends or, and, they're like, oh, well, I talk about it all the time. What your friends try to do is fix it. You give them a problem and they're like, well, you should do this or you should do that. And really, if you're going to be honest with yourself, that's not what you wanted them to do.
Right.
You really just wanted them to listen and hear you out.
Right.
Because then, if you were allowed to just process that information, the person that's really going to come up with the solution
is you.
100%.
Exactly.
And so, that's one of the things that I really struggle with is when they say, I'm going to pray about it, which, again, prayer is a good thing. No one is knocking prayer. And then, when you're saying, hey, if you go to a counselor versus a spiritual advisor, and you can do both,
right.
because both are very helpful.
Right.
But counseling is a whole profession.
It really is.
Taught on to help another person get to and beyond those obstacles, right?
Right. The other thing is when you're talking with your friends, they're biased.
Yeah.
I'm human.
Leave him. He's an ass.
Exactly. Because whenever I come to your house, he doesn't allow me to be close. Whatever
right,
it is.
For sure.
There's that bias, that piece, and or people say my family, my dad is a pastor. Well, there's. It's not the same because people bring their own issues into it, into how they counsel you, and it may not be the right advice or it may not be the right tools. It's different. It may not be the right tools to help you overcome whatever barriers you're dealing with. And people who are trained are actually really good at helping us do the work on our own.
Exactly, you know. And I think people see it as a sign of weakness, right? So if you have to go to a counselor, then you have a problem. I mean, I know, and I always am very transparent. I mean, I am super strong, very like put together. And I've been to counseling so many times, you know, and it's been so helpful to help me like manage whatever it was. In each of the different times, it was something, you know, not even that hard, but because I truly believe in the things that I ask my patients to do. I mean, imagine if you are a doctor and you don't do self-care, or you're morbidly obese, or you're smoking, or you don't want to go to a counselor. I mean, how hypocritical is that?
Or see your own doctor and get your physicals. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
You know, so definitely I think we all are very part of that. And so when I ask someone to go to a counselor, it's because I really believe in it. I've seen what it's done in my life. I really think that it can help patients. We have counselors at our office for that reason, because sometimes people don't want to go to a psychiatrist's office, or they don't want to go somewhere already they feel awkward about going. So that's why we've invested in having counselors for our patients, you know. The other thing that I think is interesting is if they actually go to a counselor, then they come back and they're like, well, they didn't fix it. You know, they didn't do anything. It didn't make a difference. It didn't work. I was like, no, you didn't work it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Exactly. So whenever you see a counselor, you're not going for them to fix the problem. You're taking time to go and get the tools to help you fix the problem.
100%.
Yeah.
So we talked about the exercise, movement, meditation, which we offer and which we really encourage in a holistic practice. We talked about counseling, you know, and how that's beneficial for stress, and how it can help you, you know, overcome whatever you're going through, right?
Prayer does matter, and it's important, and talking to your pastor, whatever is important, or your friends, but it really is not the same thing when you have clinical signs of anxiety.
One thing I always teach my patients, it's a trick I'm going to tell you, but you can't use, you need to be.
I'm so going to use it.
Yeah.
So going to use it. I mean, you're my teacher, whatever.
Right? 20 years of this. So, what I really teach people is to learn how to be selfish. And so when I say the word, that's that initial reaction. They have to like kind of, what? So what? I'm stressed out, and you're like trying to tell me I need to be more selfish, because the majority of patients we see, when they get to that point where they are at the end, if you look at all those behaviors that got them there, you know, then you can see a pattern
of putting others before themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I fundamentally have seen that as an issue, especially with women, moms, caregivers, and then they are not able to do that simple thing, and then they're angry, and they are angry at themselves, angry at other people for utilizing all their chi, right? And then they're angry at themselves for not saying no, right? And so I have to keep telling them, selfish is not a bad word.
Right.
So when you're on a plane and they say, if the airbag, you know, if the air goes out of the cabin, the airbags will come down. And what's the first thing they say?
Put yours on first before you even help your child.
Correct.
Yeah.
So is that selfish?
No, it's important, because one, if you're not well enough, how are you going to take care of someone else?
Exactly.
And that's a point that I try to make for my patients as well, is, you know, you're not there fully for your child,
for your husband, for your job, for anyone,
if you can't take care of yourself. So being selfish, as you put it, and I think it's a way for people to understand, is really also a way for you to love the people around you.
100%.
Because if you're full and whole,
and you're just pouring out.
Yeah. All right. Very good. There you have it, guys.
Being selfish.
Be selfish. That's the name of the game.